Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell from the title of this video, it is going to be a story time. I do want to put out a couple disclaimers. One is that I guess technically this could be considered a trigger warning for anyone who has had any type of sexual abuse or anything happen to them. Obviously, the story that I'm going to tell you, sorry guys, I had to move my chair. The story that I'm going to tell you is not going to be obscene, but I'm just putting that out there that it, you know, if you have a problem hearing those things, you know, just go ahead and click out of this video. No harm, no foul. I just want to say it before we get into it. Second is that I probably did not react the way that I should have in this situation. But I did react the way that I reacted because of a couple things. One, I was scared. Two, I didn't really know what to do, so I did what I thought was right in the moment, and I mean, I can't go back and change it now. And then three, I was operating under an assumption, and you know what they say about assumptions, so you shouldn't assume things. It's not right. It's not fair to other people. But in this situation, assuming made me feel like I was actually giving this person the benefit of the doubt, which, I mean, obviously I shouldn't have, I guess, or maybe I should have. I don't know. It was just an all over just situation that, like I said, I probably could have and should have dealt with differently, but it is what it is. It's already happened. So those are my disclaimers. Hindsight is 20/20, but you can't live your life in reverse. So anyways, on to the actual story. So today I went to the mall, and I was getting my, not at the time, but I went to the mall to get my hair done. I wanted to go into Barnes & Noble to look at a couple things, in between Ulta, where I get my hair done, and, you know, when I'm too lazy to do my hair myself. And Barnes & Noble is Spencer's and Hot Topic, and I do like to stop in those stores and look around sometimes when I'm just killing a little bit of time. So I walked into Spencer's, and as I was walking in, there was a gentleman coming out. He was in a wheelchair, and that is relevant to the story, which is why I'm telling you. Otherwise, I wouldn't say that because it's not, no one cares. He was in a wheelchair. He was blocking like the path into the store because he was coming out. So I kind of was just like, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, and like walked around him because, you know, I'm really awkward and I like don't make eye contact with people when I feel awkward. So since he was like blocking the way and I didn't want to like seem rude and like just stand there and wait for him to move, because my assumption that I was operating under was that he, from what I could tell, looked like he may have special needs. You know, not just because of the wheelchair, because of other factors in there that aren't important and I'm not going to go into. I didn't want to seem rude to him, so I just awkwardly said, you know, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, and like walked around him into the store. So I went into the store, didn't think anything of it. I was walking around, looking at a couple things, like giggling to myself, and out of the corner of my eye, I see that guy. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, I mean, he was leaving as I was coming in. Maybe he wanted to look at something else. Like, I've done that before. So no big deal. Then I walked from there into Hot Topic and was walking around Hot Topic. And as I was leaving Hot Topic, I noticed that that same guy was in Hot Topic. And I didn't notice him come in after me. And I know I'm going to hear everybody's, you need to be more aware of your surroundings. I get it. It didn't seem odd to me because the stores were right next door. We're in the mall. You see a lot of the same people in the stores that, you know, if you frequent the same stores and you see someone in one store, it's likely that you could see them in another store because they probably have similar interests. People who shop at Spencer's often shop at Hot Topic. It didn't seem odd to me. So I then left and walked straight down to Old Navy, which is right next to Barnes & Noble. I was going to go into Old Navy, and then I was like, oh, I'll go in Barnes & Noble first because the thing that I want from there is more important. I want to know how much it costs. I want to see if they have it. And Barnes & Noble has a bathroom, and your girl has to pee. I chugged my entire water bottle that they give you from Ulta when they do your hair, and I really, really needed to pee. Speaking of water. So, I walked into Barnes & Noble, and I walked over to the aisle to look at the books that I was looking at, and I was like thumbing through some of the books, standing in like their little, you know, pre-set up aisles. So I had like the book leaned against the shelf, and I was thumbing through one of them, and I saw the guy out of the corner of my eye on my right hand side go past in his chair, and I kind of thought, well, that's odd. That's like several times that I've seen him now since I first saw him, but maybe I'm just noticing him because I saw him, like because I actually physically looked at him. Like, how many other people have I seen that I just didn't notice because I didn't like look them in the face? So he goes by, and I'm like, okay, keep thumbing through the book. Well, then all of a sudden on my left side, he's in the aisle that I'm in, like at the end with his wheelchair, just sitting there staring at me. And I was kind of like, all right, that's kind of weird. So I kept thumbing through the book, and like I closed it and I put it on the shelf, and I pulled another book down and like kind of like looked out of the corner of my eye, and he was like still just sitting there. And then he had one hand like in his pants, but I didn't know if it was like in the waistband of his pants or if it was in his pocket, because he's sitting in a chair, and I didn't want to like look that closely because in case, like at this point I felt uncomfortable. So at this point I didn't want to like make contact with him because I didn't want to give him reason to think that it was okay to like talk to me or anything. Like while he was doing whatever he was doing, you know, like I said, his hand could have just been in his pocket. It didn't look like it, but I didn't like try to get a up close and personal look because now my heart was starting to pound. I was scared. I then closed the book I had in my hand. I put it on the shelf. I grabbed the book that I wanted. I walked straight out of that aisle to the right, directly in front of the customer service desk where a lady was standing there, and I said, I'm going to stand here so that I'm visible to you. And she looked at me like she didn't understand what I was saying. And I stayed right there at the table looking at these like little baby books. It was like little kids, like, what do you do with an idea? Let's start with what is an idea, like type of books, you know. But they were what was right in front of customer service. There was people at customer service. I thought this will be a safe place to stand where people can see me, because now I am uncomfortable and I am scared. So I'm standing there, and the guy comes up behind me, like I'm at the table here, the customer service desk is right here, so I'm looking at the lady. He comes up behind me and he's like, what are you reading? And I was like, oh, just looking at baby books. And I closed the book I was looking at, and I like walked around to the like edge of the table, so the table's here. I was standing on this outside area, and he was over here, you know, in his chair. And so I walked like over here to this outside, and he rolled his chair like closer to me to like to the middle of the table. So I set that book down, and he was like, oh, I'm looking for a gift. And I said, okay. And I walked around the table closer to customer service, and I looked directly at that customer service lady, and she was looking at me. And the guy pulled his chair up behind me, like literally behind me this time, and as I'm like moving away, he just reaches out and just grabs my boob. And I was like, no thank you, we don't touch people that we don't know. And I slammed the book shut and set it down, and I looked at the customer service lady, and she like looked away, like literally she like was looking at me, and then she just like looked away and was doing something else. And I'm like, okay, rude, like you're a woman, how would you feel in this situation? So then I walked over directly to the registers on the other side of the store, because I was scared, and I just wanted to take my book and check out, and I was trying to like figure out what I was gonna do. And I was like, my heart was pounding, and you know, and immediately after I said, no thank you, we don't touch people that we don't know, he goes, oh my God, I'm sorry. And I turned and looked at him and I said, it's not okay. Because, so I looked at him, I said, it's not okay. Looked at the lady, she looked away. I walked directly across the store and got in line and paid for my book, and the whole time was trying to figure out what to do. But, so like I said, I was operating under the possibly false pretenses, my assumption that he may have been special needs. So I didn't want to like go psycho B on him, but at the same time, like, that is so inappropriate. And the fact that he said, oh my God, I'm sorry, but it wasn't like a, I don't know, like, I don't know how to like tell you the like type of voice he had, but it was like, you know, he wasn't sorry. But again, that's an assumption. I don't know if he is special needs and he doesn't have, you know, social graces are out the window because he doesn't understand. Well, then he just shouldn't be wandering the mall by himself, because that's inappropriate. But if he's not special needs and he's just weird and he's just saying that because he thinks that he can get away with it because people might think he's special needs, like, I don't know. So many thoughts were going through my head. I literally felt like crying, you know, and I understand that so many people are going to be like, okay, well, I've had worse stuff happen to me. And I get that. I've had worse stuff happen to me. Maybe that's why I felt like crying, but I was literally in plain sight of someone, another woman, who said nothing, did nothing. Like, it was just a very, like, scary thought for me that, you know, you wouldn't look out for another woman. You wouldn't, I don't know. And then the guy wasn't, you know, I kept like looking around while I was in line and like looking over my shoulder, and I was like, okay, well, what do I do? I don't want to like walk to my car right now, because if he's right outside the store, you know, I don't want him to know what car I drive. I don't want him, you know, like, I don't know. You know, I didn't know what to think at that point, and I was just scared and upset, and I didn't really know what to do. So I just honestly stood in line, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll walk out of this store cautiously, and I'll walk towards the food court, which is where the security desk is, and I'll see if a mall security person can walk me to my car. So I walked towards there, and I was like, seriously, people probably thought that I was like stealing stuff, because as I walked through Barnes & Noble to get like back through the store, out the door, into the mall, I was like looking down every aisle like this as I walked past, because I was so nervous that he was just gonna like be there and follow me out. And I mean, honestly, I'm not really sure why I didn't say anything to anybody in the store. You know, obviously, looking back, there's lots of things that I could have done differently. I could have asked someone in the store to call a security officer over so that they could walk me safely to my car. I mean, there were options, but I don't know. I was scared and I felt overwhelmed, and my brain was going a million miles a minute, and my heart was pounding out of my chest, and all I could think about was, oh my God, what just happened? Like, what? And I don't know. So I walked towards the food court, and there was a mall security guy walking, and I said, hi, I know you probably have more important things to deal with, but I was wondering if it would be possible for you to walk me to my car, because a guy just touched me inappropriately in Barnes & Noble, and I'm just scared to go to my car by myself now. And I just wanted to tell someone, you know, I can tell you what he looks like, so maybe you can, like, if you see him in the mall, you can make sure he's not harassing anybody else. I don't know how long he's been here. He was following me from store to store, and then he finally showed up, and the, like, mall officer just sort of, like, stared at me. And then I was like, well, did you want me to tell you what he looks like? And he was like, yeah, what does he look like? And I was like, okay, well, he's in a wheelchair, and he's got a really light blue shirt on. He's got glasses, I would say mid-30s, you know, mid to late 30s. And then I would say you know, dark pants. I don't know that they were jeans. I think they were sweatpants. And I originally saw him in Spencer's. He followed me into Hot Topic. He followed me over to Barnes & Noble, was in Barnes & Noble with me. He had his hand in his pants, and then he touched me. And then the mall officer was kind of like, okay, thank you. And I was like, so can you walk me to my car? And he was like, oh, I can't leave the mall. And I was just like, my car is in the parking lot. And I'm, okay, just forget it. So then I just like walked away, and I was already by the food court. So I was like, okay, well, I'll sit here for a minute. I'll grab something quick to eat because I need food anyways. I'll look around. I'll make sure that I don't see the guy, and then I'll go out to the parking lot from here and walk to my car. So this whole time I'm just like looking over my shoulders, I'm getting food, and I'm like scared. And then like every time someone walks close to me, I'm like, because now I'm just like so, and I know like that's so dumb, like obviously because this happened, it's not like another person is gonna walk up to me and do this like on the same day, you would think. But I mean, like I said, I've had other things happen to me in my life too. So it was just like this very like terrifying reality of like, even in plain sight, some people do not care. Like, you know what I mean? Just, I don't know. I was just really scared and nervous, and the mall security guy was no help, and I doubt he even gave a crap. So I don't know why I wasted my breath telling him something that I was really embarrassed to like say out loud. I mean, I'm still embarrassed. Yes, I'm like telling you guys. But I just felt like people don't care. And it was like a really terrifying thought. And I was going to like text my husband while I was sitting down and like tell him. But then I was like, you know, I feel like this is a conversation that I want to have in person with him tonight. So when I see him this evening, I am going to tell him. I'll probably tell him before his softball game so that he can, you know, get his frustration out on the softball, you know, with the bat and the catching and the whatnot and the what have yous. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was like a really odd experience that I was just really scared for a short amount of time there, you know, not necessarily because I thought that guy was gonna come back and do something. Like, I don't think that he would have like kidnapped me or something, you know, I'm not like taking it to that level, but just the fact that he was willing to do something literally in front of people right there in the middle of a store, in the middle of the day, you know, at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know. It just, you know, as a female, it just seems like the amount of things that I have to be worried about, the list just constantly grows and grows and grows. And I'm not saying that there's not a list that is long for guys as well. It is. It's there. Guys need to be more aware. Everyone needs to be more aware. But as a small, not at all strong female, it just seems like less and less I want to leave my house because more and more I'm just scared of people. So this has been kind of a long video for this story time. I apologize about that, guys, but I just wanted to like vent and like say something to you guys, and then also share the experience for, you know, a couple reasons. One, I mean, it's just sometimes nice to like say it out loud. Two, it's nice to hear that sometimes it's happened to other people, you're not the only person. And three, because like I said, there's lots of ways that I could have handled this differently and better, and hopefully you guys see that. And then if anything were to happen to you, God forbid, in the future, you know, you maybe have the initial insight to know how to handle it differently. You know, again, I hope that nothing happens to anybody. You know, obviously not needing to use this and just thinking like, ooh, that's a weird story would be like the best that could happen for, you know, everybody out there. But because there are those people out there, because obviously no one did anything about that guy, you know, he's still out there. There's people like him out there who don't care, and it's scary. So be safe, you guys. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't assume anything about people, and if you need to go psycho on these people, then I don't think that there should be a problem with slapping the hickety heck out of someone if they grab you inappropriately without your permission, because in no way does anyone ever have the right to touch you or do anything to you without your permission. So always keep that in mind. Never think it's your fault. There's always things that we can do different, but it's not your fault if someone does something inappropriate to you. And there are lots of hotlines and outlets out there for anybody who does need help or to report anything. You know, you guys use the resources out there. Use Google, look things up. There are free anonymous hotlines to call. Don't let things like that, you know, eat you alive. Obviously, what happened to me is not anywhere near what does happen out there to other people, or anywhere near, you know, things that I know that have happened. But you can make a mountain out of a molehill real quick if you don't pay attention to it. So be aware of your surroundings, be safe, be careful. I love you guys, and I hope nothing but safety and happiness for everybody who watches this video and everybody in the world. Everybody deserves to feel safe and happy. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.